Mother and motherland are greater than heaven. So to show devotion towards motherland, I request everyone to please be ready in attention position for national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. Very good morning to the eminent gathering of torch bearers. I, Vaishnavi Khandelwal, student of MBA, School of Management and Commerce, consider it a great privilege to express my warm welcome to all the respected dignitaries present here for today's great occasion. Well, Mr. William Ralph once said, the aim of education is not the knowledge of facts, but of values. It is an occasion like this we get opportunity to deliberate upon our knowledge and understanding. We look forward to get an exposure about what the best of brains think about the expectations of industries from university graduates beyond curriculum. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to the Day 3 of International Conference organized by Poornima University. I feel honored in mentioning that Poornima University is a leading university in Rajasthan and has become a priority for many students across various states of India to build their career. Therefore, Poornima University focuses on serious academics, high-impact research, and consulting and training to the leading corporates of India as a part of our learning process. We often feel privileged to learn from seasoned speakers on different aspects pertaining to our personal and professional life. It creates a warm and protective environment with a professional atmosphere to bring out best in the student to face the cutthroat global competition. Poornima University brings together a community of wide-ranging interests, competencies, and aspirations from engineering, architecture, management, and commerce. I would like to call Ms. Vaishnavi Sharma, student of MBA, Poornima University, to deliver the welcoming address.
Education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Good morning, everyone. I, Vaishnavi Sharma, student of MBA, School of Management and Commerce, take this opportunity to welcome you all to the Day 3rd of International Conference. Today, on the third day of a conference, we have Corporate Advisory Board for panel discussion. The topic for today's panel discussion is Expectation of Industry from University Graduates. The aim of the university is to develop the students as proper human beings who will serve the society, the industry, and the nation in future. We all have joined the university with the intention to do a professional course. Our dream and destination is corporate world. We need to prepare ourselves so well that we shall join the industry at the end of the course. It is important for us to understand what industry needs from university graduates. We are thankful to our university for giving a unique opportunity for inviting the stalwarts from the industries to deliberate the theme. My dear friends, I am very sure today will be a very knowledgeable, not to miss one, and very informative session for all of us. We are grateful to all the panelists present here to take out their valuable time and join us for the discussion to help prepare industry-equipped graduates. We are looking for getting enlightened from this discussion. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Suresh Pade, Vice Chancellor, Poornima University, to address our audience. Sir, please.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, the chief guest for the day, other dignitaries, governing body members, faculties, my colleagues, and my dear students of Poornima University. Today is the third day of international conference. The past 2 days we have been doing the presentation on the topic by the academic fraternity, students, scholars, various papers they have presented. And today we are doing it a kind of industry interface. I am very grateful to all the industry colleagues, industry stalwarts, industry professionals, valuable time, graciously accepting our invitation. We will have the panel discussion, which will be a very lively panel discussion and very informative panel discussion after this session, that is after the tea break. But I am today, personally, I am really thrilled to have the real industry stalwarts to whom your dream and destinations are there are here today. So even if you have some kind of doubt, definitely you can clarify today. At the same time, let me inform you why the purpose of doing this kind of events, inviting the industry leaders to the university. Now, if we talk about our country, India, by 2032 to 35, India wants to become the third largest economy of the world after US and China. The third largest economy means it is a $10 trillion economy. We want to be number 5th or number 6th in 5 to 6 years, that is 5 trillion economy. Now, if we want to become $10 trillion economy and we want to have money that time after 2032, and if we think it will come just like that, it is not going to happen. And if we want to become the third largest economy, it won't come from the natural resources. It has to come from the knowledge resources, and which is the human capital. Although the country today having the biggest demographic dividend, we are having 550 million people who are 550 million who are in the age of 25. If we talk about the country India, that 33 or 32% of our 1.3 billion population are in the age of 0 to 14. Those who are into the primary to secondary education. So 33% means approximately 40 crore population, which is even more than the US population. Our 0 to 14 year students are more than the entire US population. So definitely it is a big demographic dividend we have. At the same time, we need to understand in a decade's time, when we want to become the third largest economy, that time all that 0 to 14 will be into higher education. So today, we are expecting the higher education industry to be 40 crore in 10 years' time. The second, if I talk about, in higher education system, the 11% of the people are from, if I talk about the age, the 14 to 23, 24, 25 or 27, we are in higher education system, only 11 to 13% of the people are studying from the higher education, the bracket of 14 to 27. Now, this is also the irony. Even though we have so many people passing out up to 10th, 12th, but if we come to higher education system, it is only the 11% of the people are doing higher education from the higher education people who are available in India. So we don't know where these people are. Although the government of India is trying to talk about, they will make it 21 to 25% within 1 year, 2 years. So if they want to make it 21 to 25%, what type of infrastructure, what type of academic resources, what type of the different, the academic environment need to be created if you just want to make it double, you can understand. At the same time, the irony I can tell you, the recent AICT report this year, last year, 18-19, they talk about 35 lakh, the technical education they have given the approval. 35 lakh seats. 35 means I am talking about engineering, management, pharmacy. It is only the AICT approved institution. Out of 35 lakh, only 18.5 to 19 lakh people are only studying. All the seats are 35 lakhs. So much resource wastage. Now, out of 17, 18, 19 lakhs, the people, if you talk about passing out, there are only 14 lakhs. So there are 3-4 lakhs every year they go somewhere else. And the biggest part is, out of 14 lakhs people who pass out, there are only 6 to 7 lakh only get campus placement. So the employability rate, if you compare the mass we have and the people who are getting employable, it is only 7 to 10%. So that is the fate of India, and we want to expect that we should be the third largest economy of the world. 10 trillion economy we are expecting. It is very difficult if we don't raise today, if you don't think today. All of you are the postgraduate students, graduate students are here. This is the fact of our country. But at the same time, we have the people today who are also ruling the world. They are from India. If we talk about the CEO of Google, he is an Indian called Sundar Pichai. And the CEO of Microsoft, who is Satya Nadella, he is also an Indian. And IBM CEO is going to be Mr. Arvind Krishna, he is an Indian. And if I talk about Abode CEO, he is Mr. Rajiv Suri, he is an Indian. MasterCard CEO, Mr. Ajay Pal Singh Banga, he is also an Indian. And the Ricket Benkaiser CEO, Mr. Lakshman Narasimhan, who is also an Indian. The list is very long, but okay, I am just to give you the glimpse. So one side we are having problem. The second side we are having, the Indian people are doing well. And the biggest thing which is coming just near future, or it is already come, the Industry 4.0 disruption, along with that Education 4.0 disruption. Today, we will have the same job. It is applicable to everybody, including me, for the teacher, for the student. One side we will have your robotics, the drone, the cloud technology, the artificial intelligence, the virtual reality. All these will take away the mundane or the regular or the jobs which is available today, which we are doing. Even it is applicable very well to me, very well to the faculty, very well to the student. If they think they will do the same repetitive job, by the time they pass out and go to the industry, the jobs will not be there. So it is a challenge, biggest challenge for the education institution, what type of course curriculum, what type of the teaching pedagogy we do like to adopt. This is going to be the reality, if somebody believes or not, but you have to face that reality. By the time you go, these 8 technologies which are coming, they will rule the economy. Then today, the economy we are talking about. So in order to face the challenge, there are now 2 skills will be at most important: your creative thinking or your communication skill, the confidence, or you are talking about the critical thinking. So these all are going to be one of the key factors for you to become successful. So the purpose or the idea of inviting all the industry guests today is to inform you the realities of the industry and to give you takeaway points that what you want to, prepare yourself to make yourself a mark in the industry, where is your dream and destination, rather than sitting in the classroom and thinking, I will be the superstar one day, although you all are superstars, let me tell you. So, I don't want to take much time, all the esteemed panels are here. So, after this session, after this one session of Mr. Banerjee will be there, and after that the panel discussion will be what industry expects from university graduates, which is applicable to everybody. But it is not only university graduates, including university officials also. We also want to understand, because we can tune the curriculum, faculty, everything to prepare them. This is the intention. We are inviting you. Once again, sir, thank you very much for coming all the way to address the students. We are lucky today. And after I joined, let me introduce all the today industry members have come. They are the corporate advisory board of Poornima University. Poornima University is really grateful to all the advisory board members, because they have given that assurance that they will help and mentor the university students. We are really lucky and grateful to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Your thought-provoking address set a perfect platform to begin with. And now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you all with our keynote speaker, Mr. Banerjee. Mr. Banerjee is a senior professional executive with over 35 years of experience in several large multinational corporations in more than 20 countries. Sir is a chartered accountant, cost and management accountant, company secretary, and has a master's degree in commerce. Sir has served in many multinational companies like Hindustan Lever, ArcelorMittal, Thomas Cook, and many others as managing and executive director. Currently, Mr. Banerjee is a managing director in Caprihans India Limited, a 100-year-old stock exchange-listed PVC film manufacturing company. Mr. Banerjee has written 3 books on indirect taxation, and 2 of his latest business non-fiction books are Who Blunders and How, and Who Cheats and How. Sir is an acclaimed speaker on business management and finance-related topics and has presented papers in numerous national and international seminars. Sir frequently writes for various journals, magazines, and editorial websites. Mr. Banerjee has been awarded with the Ethical Businessman of the Year 2018-19 award from Rotary International and nominated as the Best CFO by Business Today magazine. Sir has also been presented with the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Institute of Cost Accountants of India in 2018. By all means, Mr. Banerjee is an eminent personality and has considerable experience of working in administration. He has always been innovative wherever he has worked, and his achievements in various areas are widely recognized. May I now request Mr. Banerjee to enlighten the audience with their words. Let's welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Good morning, my dear friends. I'm so happy to be here. It gives me great honor and privilege to be in front of such august gathering. And I was supposed to speak for 60 minutes, and it's almost 15 minutes left for that 60 minutes. However, Dr. Padi just sends me the message that I can speak to for 60 minutes. So obviously, which means I'm eating into your high tea time, which is not fair. But let me see what I can do perhaps in the next 45 minutes so that you can know that, and I have a watch, so that I can time myself. I do understand the purpose of this gathering today, that we all want to become successful in future. The industry leaders are all here today. Many of the industry leaders, they're who's who of the industry. And therefore, I'm sure you will get a glimpse of what you should do in the future. But before I start, it's all nice to wake things up. And wake things up means you guys have thought that, let's come and listen to some little boring stories, some panel discussions, we need to do all that. But let me tell you a story. Before I start, let me tell you a story. You know who is the king of the jungle? Lion is the king of the jungle. But why is lion king of the jungle? Have you ever thought about it? Why should lion be the king of the jungle? The lion is not the tallest of the animals. Giraffe is the tallest animal. Lion is not the heaviest of the animal. Hippopotamus is the heaviest of the animal. Lion is not the biggest animal. Elephant is the biggest animal. Lion is not the fastest animal. The cheetah is the fastest animal. Lion is not the most intelligent animal. The monkey or the jackal is the most intelligent animal. Can you think the lion is the good for nothing? If you have to be the king of the jungle, you have to be the fastest, the tallest, the heaviest, the strongest, the intelligent. And lion is none of that. And yet, lion is the king of the jungle. Have you ever thought about that? In fact, if you take all these attributes, of top 5 of these attributes, the tallest, the heaviest, the fastest, the intelligent, lion will not be the top 5 of them. Now let me give you an example. In the jungle, the lion comes in front of an elephant. The elephant stands there right up, a lion is around there. Elephant looks at the lion looks at the elephant. Can you imagine what is the elephant thinking when face to face of the lion? What is the elephant thinking? The elephant is thinking, how the hell can I run away? And elephant is the largest. In fact, as you know, elephant is also very intelligent. Perhaps the second or the third most intelligent animal in the animal kingdom. What is the lion thinking? What is the lion thinking looking at that animal? Lion is thinking, lunch. Good time. अभी इसको खा लेगा, the next 15 days का problem solved. As you know, if lion is not hungry, the stomach is full, he or she will not move. So, the elephant, being largest, is thinking defeat. The lion, who is not the highest, biggest, smallest, intelligent, is thinking victory. And can you understand that? Why do you think the lion is thinking victory and the elephant is thinking defeat? There is one word for that. And that one word is attitude. You got it. Attitude. You must have positive attitude. My dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, whenever in life, think of yourself of the animal kingdom. You need not be the first boy, first girl of the class. You need not be the most handsome of the boy or the girl of the class. You need not be the best communicator in the world in your class. You need not have stood first in your school before, or you may not have been the second boy or second girl in your school. You need not be the best in order to succeed. You just need to have a positive attitude. Remember another small example. Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kamble was from the same school, same class, playing for the same team. And Sachin Tendulkar became the god of cricket. And Vinod Kamble failed after 3 or 4 tests. Vinod Kamble actually was more talented than Sachin Tendulkar. It was just the attitude. Vinod Kamble was thinking, oh, humko to ho jayega, no problem. Sachin Tendulkar says, I can't play. And whenever I have to play, I have to score a century. Attitude. Ladies and gentlemen, the key word you must remember in your life is, if you have a positive attitude, you can do anything. Anything is possible, and you need not be the best. That's one story. And I was thinking that, all of us are gathering together for our future, how to be successful. And success could be through a good job, success could be through a business, success could be through research, success could be just through singing songs, painting pictures, doing whatever you like the best. So there was, about 2 or 3 years before, and I know the HR heads are all here, there was a global poll amongst 60 global HR heads. And HR heads, please don't answer this question if you know the answer. These HR heads were asked one question. that when you are recruiting a management graduate, and most of you are, and all of you would be, when you are recruiting a future manager, what is that characteristic you look for to make your choice that, yes, this is the boy or the girl I want for my company? What is that characteristic? Would you know that? What do you think is the characteristic the HR head looks for? And this is not my answer. This came through a survey done by Nielsen. Nielsen you have heard of? The Nielsen company made that survey. I'm not too sure the Mercer did the same, sir. I'm not too sure, but maybe Mercer would have done another survey. What do you think is the answer? No. If it was so simple, I wouldn't have asked. No, you sit and answer. Come, quick, one word. No, the attitude is gone. Positive attitude, no. That's, of course, is required. Optimism, no.
Confidence.
No.
Confidence.
No. 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 A big chocolate, whoever gets it. A big chocolate, I'll get you. No. 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 Can you believe it? None of us know the answer. No. No. Okay. Time is running out. The big chocolate is gone. Okay, champagne bottle. That's a fair bit. For one word, champagne bottle. Indian champagne. As passion? No.
Sir. So the biggest problem you have solved.
Biggest
you
problem
faced.
was solved.
Your biggest problem
One
you
word.
faced
One
and
word.
solved.
One word. One word. What is that one word? No. 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 Okay. Champagne is gone.
So personality. Personality.
No. No. Can you believe it? No. Okay, good. So let me give you the answer. Champagne was expensive, you see. Okay, good. I think all of us have waken up. It's very nice so that we can spend next 40 minutes or so much more productively. The answer is entrepreneurship. The answer is entrepreneurship. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to be entrepreneurial. What is entrepreneurial? I will explain to you in the next 40 minutes as we go along, because I'm going to web myself into in the realms of this business world and India and the world, if possible. Time is short, so much to say, but let me explain to you. But keep this word entrepreneurship with you. Entrepreneurship is all about making an opportunity. You know, whenever there is something in front, take that as an opportunity and convert that into an opportunity. The entrepreneur, a singer can be an entrepreneur, an artist can be an entrepreneur, a businessman is an entrepreneur. You obviously have to know what the risks are, how to make money out of it, and so on and so forth. So please remember, an entrepreneur needs to have all those characteristics which you all said. Everything what you said, all amalgamates to someone who is entrepreneurial in spirit. So one thing you have remembered is attitude, a positive attitude. You can make anything possible. Remember the damned lion who's good for nothing, still rules the earth, and the entrepreneurship. You people are all young. Being young, you have to learn so much. So many books, so many things. The internet is full. Google auntie, God knows anyone has read the Google auntie himself, herself. So much to learn. And everyone is expecting, perhaps the businesses, the industries are expecting that you need to know all. I want to give you 6 things which you all need to know. 6 things. If you know these 6 things, perhaps you know it all. You'll say, oh, come on, the life can't be so simple. Yeah, actually life is very simple. Think of the lion. Simple life. He wants to eat the lunch and he will have his lunch. That's it. Or she wants to have a lunch, he'll have lunch. As you go along in life, it's easy to remember if I give you an acronym. It will be very easy to remember. Today in the world, there is something called Industry 4.0 going on, as you know. And I would like to tell you what is Industry 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, forget it. And this is the 4th industrial revolution. And the 4th industrial revolution is going to actually change the way we are going to eat, drink, and make merry. So the word fourth is very important, F-O-U-R-T-H. And this will guide you, what is it that we all need to know? Because all of us need to be employed, not employed, be successful. Employment is just one of those things. F, the word F means finance. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand finance. If you don't understand finance, you can't be successful. And what is finance? Finance has basically two arms. One arm is how to get the money, which has again two arms, equity and debt. It can be own money, which is equity. Debt is borrowed money. And I know many of you would be HR, marketing, IT, wouldn't even know what this finance is all about. But believe me, ladies and gentlemen, please try and understand. Without money, what is it? All of us want to make money, and that's finance. That's the first word, F, finance. So you can get your own money, which is equity. You can get borrowed money, which is called debt. This is own money, the sourcing of money. Second, you need to know how to utilize the money. Where do you utilize the money? Assets, fixed assets, and working capital. So the bottom line is that finance, you need to understand how to read finance, how to understand finance, how to utilize finance, how to source finance. F. Second, O. As people who are going to be in the world from, let's say, sooner than later, the word O is operations. You need to operationalize everything. Let's say you open a restaurant. You open a restaurant, you spend a lot of money, but when the visitor comes, you are not able to serve him or her the food within 10 minutes or 5 minutes of warm, lovely food. That means you had made everything, invested in a lovely restaurant, but the operations fails to deliver the food on time. That is operations. Have you ever realized that when you order something in Flipkart or Amazon, how quickly the material comes? That's operations, because they've got the operations right, they're successful. In operations management, ladies and gentlemen, if you need to understand how to operationalize your business processes, F-O, what is U? What is U? U is, you can't be a business unless U, which means unique selling proposition. You need to have an unique selling proposition. You cannot be in a business unless it is unique. Let us say Amazon was a unique selling proposition. It is very successful. That fellow started this whole concept of sending products through, but just by ordering through the internet. Flipkart copied, Indianized that, but then Snapdeal came, tried to make same thing as Amazon or Flipkart, failed. There was no U, there was no unique selling proposition, failed. Uber, very successful, was copied by Ola in India, operationalized the unique selling proposition of Uber in India. Meru Cab tried to copy Ola, failed. No unique selling proposition. So unique selling proposition, ladies and gentlemen, that whatever you do, you have to think, what is it that I'm doing different? If you are not doing different and you're copying someone, that doesn't work. So think about the concept that whenever you do, whatever you do, in fact, in your own self, you as a human being, what is your USP? What's your USP? Unique selling proposition. I can speak very well. That's your USP. I can write very well. That's your USP. I know tax very well. That's your USP. I understand engineering very well. That's your USP. I am very good civil engineer. That's your USP. You must have an USP. Without that, that life will not be successful. F, finance, O, operations, U, unique selling proposition. What is R? R. You have to understand R, otherwise you can't know business, you can't know life. And R is risk management, risk. There is nothing in this world which is risk-free. And there is something called a risk premium. There is nothing in this world which is risk-free. You all came over here and sat today's program. You took a risk. You are the God knows what's going to happen. It's a waste of time. And that to 60 minutes, Mr. Banerjee is going to speak. What a bloody waste of time. You took a risk. One doesn't know what will going to happen after the 60 minutes. Have you heard of a mobile phone in India called Micromax? Micromax, 3 years back, you open a television and you would see Micromax advertisement all in every shop. Micromax everywhere. Where is Micromax now gone? Where is Micromax? The company's gone bankrupt, more or less. Why is it so? Micromax was basing its business model on importing mobile phones from China, stamping Micromax, selling into India. Those people, there were 17,000 crore was the turnover, 3,000 crore was their profit. They did not visualize, they did not think that what if some Chinese manufacturer himself or herself comes and sells in India? Where will I go? They did not do this risk analysis in their mind. And what happens? Oppo has come, Vivo has come, MI has come. Directly, why should anybody pay Micromax his profit? Micromax is gone. Risk management nahi tha. Business is gone for a sixer. Simple, isn't it? F finance, operations, your unique selling proposition are risk management. What is T? That's simple. What is T? Time management? No, T is technology. You must have the right technology. Ladies and gentlemen, all that we are talking about, AIs and big data, what is this technology? That's a future technology. Very good, very nice. There could be also a technology. When you are an engineer, you want to put up a factory or want to start a manufacturing or be helped to do a manufacturing for a company, there could be new equipment, second-hand equipment could be technology. If you're an accountant, the technology, whether you should have an SAP system or an Oracle system or a homegrown system, technology. So there is, whatever you do, there is technology. You are a guitarist. Which is the guitar you're going to play? Technology. You are a singer. What's the music system you will have with you? It's technology. So unless you understand technology and get the right technology, relevant technology, appropriate technology, you cannot have technology which is, the customer is not going to pay for it. Doesn't work. You must have a technology relevant which customers are going to pay for it. That's the technology you must have. So you have to understand technology. If you don't understand technology in some form, even if an HR person, even if a finance person, even if of course IT, you have to understand technology, no question about it. The world will not be able to, you will not be able to be successful. So FOURT, what is H? Yes, all the dadas are here sitting, the big daddies. Human resource, nothing is possible without human beings. Nothing, whether AI comes or the robotics come, we the human beings will continue. In my view, we have overestimated the power of AI and robotics. I cannot even think that in Indian roads, an automatic car will run in the future. I can't think. I can't drive myself, even I'm a human being, forget about a robot driving it. So that's another matter altogether. But the concept is you have to understand human resources. It's all about human being. It's all about man, or all about women. It's all about the human resources. So if you understand these six, ladies and gentlemen, you would have conquered the world of business. Finance, operations, unique selling proposition, risk management, technology, and human resources. If there is something else left outside it, this will all be peripheries. So when you go out of this room, tell yourself, I am going to learn and be expert in fourth. But stand first, but be in fourth. Is it making sense? Any questions till now? Good. Before I go to another concept which I think will be very useful to you, I want to tell you one small little concept which perhaps for all of it will be useful as you hit the world. You know, just now the India had the budget, union budget, and I don't know, I hope all of you have watched it. Even if you have not, please go through it. That was a almost 3-hour boring talk. But it's an exercise which is almost like a Bollywood movie in India. Budget is going to come, big shosha. But what's this all about? The world was, or the politicians, or the economists wants to make everyone happy. Isn't it what we live for? We want to make ourselves happy. Why are we sitting here? We want to become successful because we want to become happy. All of us want to become happy. What is happiness? Have you realized what's happiness? All about happiness is what? What is happiness? There is something called happiness index. Bhutan apparently is the most happiest country. I can't even live there. So what is happiness? Have you ever thought about it? It's almost like a lion story. Lion is the king of the jungle, but what's happiness in our lives? In the world of business, in the world of commerce, in the world of economics, happiness is all about, you got it, all about money, but it is not money in general, but the per capita income. Have you understood what is per capita income? What does each one of us earn? If today your per capita, your earning, which may be the dole by your parents, maybe 5,000 rupees, and if it becomes 5 lakhs and 50 lakhs and 5 crore, wouldn't you become happy? Because you're getting more money? Simple, isn't it? So more the money you get, more happiness you are. The whole concept of happiness is per capita income. How to enhance the per capita income. And in this per capita income race, there is a concept which I want to give you. Hopefully this concept you went out have heard, but it's simple and it might help you as you go along and fight the world. There is something called, I know I spoke about budget, I talked about per capita income, now I'll give you one other word. It's called Gini Coefficient, G-I-N-I, Gini Coefficient. What is Gini Coefficient? Gini Coefficient is that if the income of one whole country belongs to one individual, have you understood? The income of one whole country belongs to one individual, let's see it's the king, the Gini coefficient is 1. And if the income is equally distributed throughout the country, Gini coefficient is 0. Have you understood? 1 means extreme concentration of wealth. 0 means ultimate deconcentration of wealth. 0 means everybody is equal. But the world, it cannot be 1 and 0. There is no there is monarchy, but still there is no country which is 1. So if a country has 0.8, means concentration is more. And if a country has 0.2, the concentration of wealth is less. It is more equal society. Have you understood, all of you, ladies, my dear friends? Very important. Gini coefficient is always between 1 and 0. 1 is bad, 0 is good, 0 no one has, so near 0 is good, near 1 is bad. You have understood? The economists or the political class is always trying to make the Gini coefficient of any country 0. But no one knows how to make it 0. No one knows. Everyone, whether is it Narendra Modi or whether it is Mr. Kejriwal, all of us are saying everyone will be equal, everyone will be happy, sabka vikas, hota nahi, which is nothing else but 0. They are talking about 0 Gini coefficient. But why we are not being able to do 0? The Nordic islands, Scandinavia, Norway, the Gini coefficient is between 0.22 to 0.25. Scandinavian countries, which means it's equal society. A very poor Gini coefficient society is South Africa, 0.68, 0.70. Concentration of wealth is much higher in South Africa. Concentration of wealth is very low in the Nordic islands. Concentration of wealth in China. What is coefficient of China? Gini coefficient of China, any luck? And if you can get it in India, the champagne bottle will come back. What is China? Point? Oh, I like it. We are very close. Somebody said 0.5, very close. The Gini coefficient, to cut the long story short, is about 0.53 to 0.55 is China. Just contrary to our popular belief that China must be equalized society, it is not true. It's not true. It is just that the country is managed by a party called the Communist Party of China. They're autocratic in nature. There is no democracy, and it is one-party rule, which gives the feeling that the Gini coefficient must have been very good, so let's follow the Chinese model. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked for them. What is Gini coefficient of India? All of you will be thinking, come on, India ki baat bata do pehle, jaldi se jaldi. Yeah, cannot, no. 0.6, I like it, 0.6. Must be higher than China, okay, fair. Must be higher than China, isn't it? Who says higher than China? That's minority. Who says lower than China? Oh, most of you are not acting. Attitude, man, attitude, positive attitude. Having heard the story, who thinks less than China? Majority, majority. It is less than China. Yeah. And actually what has happened is that if you open Google, you will get actually a figure of 0.36, which is 2011 number, long time back. But The Economist magazine estimated about in 2016-17 that India is around 0.42. 0.42, around 0.4, which is better than China, worse than those Nordic islands, significantly better than South Africa, which means that India is more, the concentration of wealth is significantly lower than many countries of the world. Now the question is, what I wanted to explain to you is that the whole concept of making a country happy, a company happy, a city happy, or a state happy is all about GDP, per capita income, and making Gini coefficient 0. But the economists do not know how to do it. There is no answer anyone has found. There was a book 2 years back, a person called Thomas Piketty. He got the Nobel Prize of actually talking about the concentration of wealth, but he did not give a solution. He got the Nobel Prize. He found out that the world is growing, but there is the 1% of population gets 90% of wealth and so on and so forth, which is true, which all of us know. Nothing to get the Nobel Prize on, but what is to be done? There are two things which needs to be done, which more or less the economists feel that if we do these two things, perhaps the Gini coefficient will become more dispersed, will become next to 0. Can you tell me what those two things are quickly? What is it country should do to make a Gini coefficient near 0? Quickly. Work on poverty, startups, employment. Good. So let me give you the answer. The first point, a Gini coefficient can become 0, is education. Everyone should be educated. And the second, where Gini coefficient can become near 0, is looking after the old age, which is pension scheme, which is called pension scheme. So if a country can have universal education and universal pension scheme, the Gini coefficient comes near 0. Now, I started with budget, if you remember. Why will say, come on, what is it budget to be done with it? Because budget is a document which shows what the government is going to do next year. So if you look at the budget, you can actually understand what's the Indian government strategy. Otherwise, how do you know what is Mr. Modi's strategy? How do you know the government, central government, or for your matter, state government strategy? The strategy paper is the budget document. And therefore, I am picking up the budget document and picking up these two things. Is the government focusing on education? You will see the answer is yes. The whole lot of movement is taking place on education. The more importantly, this budget, if you read, and this is a fantastic thing, although so much of negativity has been stated against budget, is that this budget is talking about making education employable, which incidentally is your question, is what we are going to discuss today. The employability of the education, That means the education needs to be relevant. If you have heard the budget speech, the finance minister was saying that when India sends women as nurses abroad, we must make the women capable nurses so they are the sought after nurses all over the world. And that's a great opportunity, the great thought process. When Indian cooks or chefs going across all over the world to cook, let us make them relevant and employable. That's education. So the budget has talked about the Gini coefficient near zero. The second is pension scheme. In the last year's budget, all those people who were, all those who were the marginalized employees, like a rickshaw puller or a road cleaner, all of them can now get a lifetime pension if they contribute 100 rupees per month, and they will get a 15,000 rupees pension per month when they achieve 60 years of age. If a person is 18 years of old, contributes 100 rupees, or a person is 29 years of age, if he's 18 years of age, he has to contribute 50 rupees, 55 to be precise. And if he's 29 years of age, if he contributes 100, at the age of 60, all of them will get 15,000 per month pension. Now, this was not there in this country. All those people who are now unclassified retailers, they can have a pension scheme. So the country is now more and more thinking of everyone universal pension. The budgets, if you look at, you will see that the concentration is universal education, the concentration is an universal pension scheme. And ladies and gentlemen, it only shows and proves that this country indeed is in the right direction. And that's what we are not able to pick up. Because this, if they do, we will get a Gini coefficient near zero. Does it answer? Does it help you to understand what's happening into India? It's not as bad, ladies. Believe me, it's not as bad. There's so much to talk. It's 11:10. I should end in, I think, 5 minutes, 11:15. But with your permission, can I give you one more stuff for them? Okay. Before I take what I think you should do, I want to put another thought. Where is Indian economy heading for? All of you are reading so much of negativity around it. Oh, India's recession, nothing is happening, this country is not spending, or it's spending in the wrong direction. You know, I know all of you are young, so maybe some of it you may not be able to understand, but let me explain to you 3 things which are happening in the country which is making a difference. 3 things which have happened. Why is India going through so-called recession? India was growing at 8%, 7%, 8%. Suddenly now we are seeing 6, 5, 4.5, 4.2. Why the growth has come down? It has tapered down, isn't it? Now we are saying it will become 6%. IMF told us 6.5% maximum hoga. So there is therefore some sort of an U curve. I hope there is a U curve and not a J curve, that there is one-way slide. Now, 3 things is happening. One, in India there was, last 70 years or so, as I told you, one issue is finance. Unless you have money, you can't do business. And one way of getting money is from the banks or the financial institutions. Who has banks' money? Your and my money is bank. So we put our money in the banks, and banks gives loans, gives money to the entrepreneurs. Okay? But the entrepreneurs must return the money. If the entrepreneurs takes the money, and my and your money will go away. So that country cannot exist. What was happening is, my dear friends, that entrepreneurs in India were taking this money and many of them were not returning. If you look at non-performing asset, I know I'm getting into difficult stuff perhaps, and it's not a finance class, I can't take that. The India's total loan in the country is 95 lakh crore. 95 lakh crore is a total loans given to the economic system, of which officially 10 lakh crore will never come back, and IMF is saying 18 lakh crore will not come back. let's take the 18 lakh crore as the figure, because many of the loans which have been restructured will also not come back. I hope some of you will understand that. Now remember, when entrepreneurs takes loans and they don't give it back to the banking system, the bank cannot give further loans. So there will be a huge disconnect somewhere, and this is now stopped because a law has come in the country called Insolvency Banking Code. If please understand, all of you should understand this law called IBC, simple law, which says that if you have taken money from the banks, and if you do not return the money within 3 months, आपका company लेके मैं auction कर दूंगा. We will auction your company, and that's what has happened. SR Steel, who took money, could not return. ArcelorMittal has taken it over. Bhushan Steel, who took money from the banks, couldn't pay and did not pay. Couldn't pay is one word, did not pay is another. Did not pay, perhaps is the right English. Tata Steel has taken over. So Bhushan Steel is now Tata Steel, and SR Steel is now ArcelorMittal. What is the problem? What is the advantage? Now tomorrow, when an entrepreneur takes a loan from the bank, they have to think how to return the money. Which means, when I take 100 rupees, I have to see how to multiply the 100 rupees and give the money. And till yesterday, they were thinking 100 rupees हमारा gift है, वापस करना ही नहीं है. So how will the economic activity enhance? So what was happening? The economic activity will say, but India was growing. India was growing. But what was happening? We were printing money, and your and my money was becoming more and more unsafe. Because my money and your money is going and not coming back. And your and my money we will never get back. That is where it was. So the IBC has actually put a stop. This has created a blip. Why? Naturally, some companies have no money because they are not getting fresh money to continue their activity because they are not returning the old money. One. Happy to take a question because maybe it is difficult, but this is one single important thing which has happened in the Indian economy which has created this blip. The second blip is, to cut the long story short, is GST, Goods and Service Tax. Ladies and gentlemen, there were companies who were selling goods without paying sales tax and excise duties. Is it correct? Can you do a business without paying taxes to the government? If government taxes are not paid, how will a government function? And once the GST has come into existence, in my view, 90% of economy is now paying GST. And that's a blip. People who were not paying taxes now have to pay tax. Uska dhanda band ho gaya, to blip hoga ki nahi? Natural? Second. The third one, and many of you will not agree with me, is demonetization. Demonetization has singularly helped in this country. How? Forget about it, implementation. You will say, no, implementation was not good. 15 lakh crore was demonetized. All 15 lakh crore came back, so demonetized failed. So 15 lakh crore came back, so what? If 15 lakh crore would not have come back, 12 lakh crore could have come back. Country ka kya hota tha? Kuch nahi hota tha. If you were an accountant, I hope you know that 3 lakh crore contingent liability of government of India would have got reversed. Profit and loss account mein kuch nahi hota tha. Now let me now explain to you, finance people and finance faculties would have understood that. But what has demonetization done? In the last 65 or 67 years of history, the country had 3 crores income tax assessees. The moment demonetization took place, the income tax assessees became 6 crores. So people who returned the money, more than a particular, let's say 5 lakh rupees, I hope you know that, government has, अच्छा, आप तो income tax assessee नहीं है, तो आप कहाँ से पैसा लेके आए? So उसका पास notice गए. So therefore what has happened, government knows all that 15 lakh crore who has deposited back. The country was unaccounted. Today the country has become accounted. Everyone's money is now accounted. This demonetization without GST would not have worked. And GST without demonetization would not have worked. Now whatever you want to say, I am not a politician. I don't hold a brief for anyone. I'm an economist like you. I'm trying to explain to you the world of business to all of us so that tomorrow when you go out of this room, you are better off to understand what's happening in the newspapers. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 things has happened. The Insolvency Banking Code has made entrepreneurs forcing them to return the money. GST is making the country accountable. Demonetization is forcing people to do money which is accounted money and not unaccounted money. Because of this change, the country is going through a dip. Ladies and gentlemen, as I just told you, the country's budget, which is a strategy document, is working towards Gini Coefficient of 0. And these three initiatives, believe me, ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, India is the best place to do business and work. You are in the right country, in the right place. Be here. Don't leave this country. I know many of you want to come. Let's go to Canada. It's a lovely place. And Australia, fantastic climate. See the growth of those countries. Even at 4.5%, we are the number 4 or number 5th of highest growth. Europe is still growing at 1.5%. US grows at 2.5%. Even at the worst of the time, when I'm telling you there is a dip, we are still higher than most of the countries. Good. So it's now 11:15. I want to leave with you one little thought, another acronym, so that all of us, hopefully, are better off as we go for employment in this world, employment or whatever. You know, we want to access good life. We want to access a good job. We want to access a good business. And therefore, we want to access happiness. And in order to access happiness, the word access is very important. A-C-C-E-S-S. What does access mean? A, attitude. We discussed. Access, A-C-C-E-S-S. E, we discussed entrepreneurship. So therefore, 2 are done. We have to get 2 C's and 2 S's. And then we are done. The first C, hey, you got it. Who said that? Competency? Got it. Competency. My dear friends, if you don't know your subject, you can't succeed. You have to know what you are doing. You have to know what you have studied. So kindly understand whatever you are studying in a common sense way. Nothing is theory. Don't understand theory. Of course, you have to understand theory. But you have to be competent to what you are studied. Unless you are competent, nothing can happen. You can be the king of the jungle, that's okay. But unless the bloody elephant you can eat, what will happen? Elephant will kill you. So you have to be competent to actually fight that elephant. Attitude is good, but competence is absolutely required. You agree with that? You have to be competent. A, C. There is another C. You are very competent. But how do I know that you are competent? How does that HR manager know you're competent? Communication. You have to be communicative. Not communicative. Your communicational skills must be supreme, superb. Both written and oral. Without communication, you have to sell yourself. You have to tell others that this is my USP, unique selling proposition. But if you can't communicate, how will the other person understand who you are? A, C, C. E is entrepreneurship. We have all understood that. Now comes to S. S. Scale, soft skill. Okay, good. That is competency. Soft skill is competency. Satisfaction. Strategy. Okay. S, let me tell you, the time is running out. It's 11:50, 11:20. Somebody said?
Sir, strength.
Stress?
Strength.
Strength now is sensitivity. Sensitivity. You know, all of you have high IQ. What is IQ? All of you have high IQ. Without that, you wouldn't have come here, intelligence quotient. The other one is EQ, emotional quotient. What is emotional quotient? Is the ability to deal with others. That is, you have to be sensitive to others. Moment you are a sensitive person, understand what he or she is saying, what others are saying, what is the ecosystem wanting you to do, and how the ecosystem wants you to do, you are sensitive. So if you are sensitive, you will be very successful. Please develop your sensitivity, very important, which is called EQ, in other words. Without EQ, IQ doesn't work. Without IQ, of course, EQ doesn't work. Sensitivity. The last S, perhaps it is difficult, so let me tell you what I believe it is. And please take this last S very seriously. It's called straightforward. In word, straightforward means be ethical. Don't be ghumao ghumao. Don't be unethical. If you're unethical, your success can never come, which means you have to bat in the straight bat. The moment you start hooking, doesn't work. The more you straight bat, Rahul Dravid, you are actually the wall of the cricket. Straightforward. So, attitude, competency, communication, entrepreneurship, sensitivity, which is called EQ, and S is straightforward, which is ethics. Don't be unethical. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no shortcut to life. The moment you are straightforward, honesty, the world will come at your feet. It has to come. With that positive attitude, success cannot but be with you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to take questions. Thank you. I think time is up, 11:20. We can ask questions. I have eaten into your high tea by 20 minutes. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to request Mr. Robin Banerjee to kindly stay back. I would like to request Professor Dr. Sureshan Pade, Vice Chancellor, Poornima University, to felicitate Mr. Robin Banerjee by presenting a memento. Thank you, sir. Mr. Prashant Ahir just joined us. I would like to request Professor Dr. Sureshan Pade, Vice Chancellor, Poornima University, to present a bouquet to Mr. Prashant Ahir. Thank you, sir. Seasoned professional, closed to 3 decades of multifaceted rich experience in strategic human resource and organization development areas in multinational, global and Indian diversified industries of manufacturing, engineering, automotive, pharmaceutical, IT and engineering sector and service organization. Handled multiple multi-locational diversified business verticals in global environment, Sir has started career with subsidiary of PNG Eco Tractors, Vidya India Limited, Hyderabad. Prior to joining GMR Group, Sir were associated with Ingersoll Rand Engineering sectors as head of human resources and was responsible for supporting the engineering and technology business centers in Bangalore and Chennai. Presently, Mr. Venkatesh is associated with GMR Hyderabad International Airport GMR Group as a Chief Human Resource Officer, supporting Hyderabad Airport and diversified business at Hyderabad. I would now invite Mr. Venkatesh Palavat to join us on stage. In labor law, HR from Symbiosis International University, and prior to joining Myntra, Sir has worked with VMware as staffing leader. Being the staffing leader for India R&D organization, Mr. Vishnu Iruvanti was handling the entire process of lateral recruitment of R&D, campus relations, senior management hiring, lead the R&D recruitment team. Sir has also worked as Citrix, Yahoo, Microsoft and Oracle. I would request Mr. Vishnu Iruvanti to join us on stage. So please. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Sujan Roy. Mr. Sujan Roy is the head of international business for passenger vehicles Tata Motors. Sir has nearly 3 decades of auto sales, marketing and product experience in India and abroad. Mr. Sujan Roy has served in various senior marketing and product-related roles at Volkswagen, Honda, Mahindra, Mercedes and Lexus. Sir is a technophile traveler, aviates reader, and an award-winner writer and speaker. I would like to request Mr. Sujan Roy to join us on stage. Thank you, sir. Next in the pipeline, I would like to introduce Mr. Deepak Gupta. Mr. Deepak Gupta has 25 years of experience in human resource function across financial services, consulting, investment banking, KPO, ITS, and manufacturing. Sir has worked for startups as well as in organization transformation involving different stakeholders and approaches. Mr. Deepak Gupta is an alumni from Jamnal Lal Bajaj College of Management. Sir is currently engaged as Group Head and Chief of Human Resources for Carvi, a diversified financial services group where he is responsible for driving end-to-end HR function, culture and new initiatives to build a higher performance organization along with a winning culture. Currently, Mr. Deepak Gupta is involved in a transformational project that is focused on increased efficiency through automation and digitalization, including restructure and redesigning the organization. Sir specializes in HR strategy, leadership, development, and coaching. I would like to invite Mr. Deepak Gupta to join us on stage. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Prashant Ahir. Mr. Prashant Ahir is a mature HR professional with over 30 years of work experience in almost all aspects of human resource management. More than half of his experience has been in strategic leadership role. Sir has done his post-graduation in business behavior from IIM Ahmedabad and graduation in civil engineering from VJTI under Mumbai University. Mr. Prashant Ahir also worked with India's largest private sector organization, Reliance Industries Limited, led by Mr. Mukesh Ambani. At Tata Motors, under his leadership, Tata Motors Pune HR won 2 prestigious HR awards, that is, Golden Peacock Award for Training and Sale Excellence in HR Award. At Thermex, Mr. Prashant Ahir initiated the Management Development Program to bring in techno-commercial insights. Sir also implemented a differentiated incentive scheme and closely worked on restructuring and integration with business heads. Sir was instrumental in Thermex getting the 3rd place in Mercer BT Best Places to Work study. Mr. Prashant Ahir has a unique blend of IR and HR experience. Sir is a voracious reader, writer, a poet, and a tabla player. I would request Mr. Prashant Ahir to join us on stage. Thank you, sir. Moving ahead, I would like to introduce Mr. Prasenjit Ghosh Roy. Mr. Prasenjit Ghosh Roy has advanced degrees in engineering and business management and also did a postgraduate certificate course in modern information system from IIT Mumbai. Sir has more than 2.5 decades of corporate experience on the business side, spanning across several multinationals in India and abroad. An accomplished and dynamic strategic marketing and strategic specialist, Mr. Prasenjit Ghosh Roy is an evangelist of integrated strategic marketing covering a wide spectrum of industry sectors, including financials, telecom, manufacturing, information technology, and other verticals. Sir is a mentor to NASSCOM's 10,000 Startups program, SME Forum across India, and by other VCs funding agencies. Mr. Prasenjit Ghosh Roy is a governing body member of IFEEL Institute and Banerjee Institute of Management, industry advisor to Vidyalankar Group of Institutions and Poornima University, a visiting faculty member to the CEO School of Management, and was member of the selection panel of multiple IIMs and IFT. Sir is the winner of several industry awards like Most Iconic Marketing Professional, Most Influential Marketing Technology Leader, CMO of the Year, Enterprise IT CMO, and Asia's Top 50 Brand Leaders. Currently, Sir is the Senior Executive Vice President Marketing at Entity NetMagic Solutions Power Limited. And now, I would request Mr. Prasenjit Ghosh Roy to join us on stage. Thank you, sir. Next in the pipeline, I would like to introduce Mr. Sanjay Jha. Mr. Sanjay Jha is a metallurgical engineer and MBA with 29 years of experience in the field of operations, TQM, TPM, HR, and sales. Sir is certified Six Sigma Black Belt and certified ACC level IFSC coach. Sir have worked in iron and steel industry, telecom industry, chemical industry, and automobile industry. Currently, Mr. Sanjay Jha is CHRO in Mahindra First Choice. Prior to joining Mahindra Group in 2010, Sir had served 4 Tata companies. Sir is a marathoner and write poetry and stories in Hindi. I would like to invite Mr. Sanjay Jha to join us on stage. So please. Thank you, sir. Last but not the least, I would like to introduce our moderator for the panel discussion, Mr. Rajiv Bhadoria. Mr. Rajiv Bhadoria comes out as a rounded, mature, and prolific senior business leader. Sir has experienced to working with big and complex corporates like NTPC, Reliance ADA Group, and Jindal Steel and Power Limited as a member of the senior leadership team for over 3 decades now. As far as the arena of businesses with which Mr. Rajiv Bhadoria has been associated are concerned, Sir has handled domains as diverse as power, steel, infrastructure, entertainment, telecom, health, and capital from incubation and execution. Besides being adept at handling complex HR lifecycle processes, his key strength lies in helping create a vibrant work culture which inspires engagement of workforce across levels from the shop floor to the boardrooms, from the militant trade unions to the sophisticated knowledge workforce. Currently, Mr. Rajiv Bhadoria is a senior business advisor for Mercer India and South Asia in the OD and E initiatives. As a part of his mission to make the 400 million youth of India employable, Sir is involved in a startup, MintraTransform.com, a world-class process-based career counseling and learning platform which uniquely connects learning to work life, which helps students self-explore the widest possibilities available today rather than be inhibited and limited by the obvious few occupations conventionally known so far. I would like to invite Mr. Rajiv Bhadoria to join us on stage. Sir, please.
So for everybody, it is the most awaiting moments. We all are waiting for to listen from the industry stalwarts that what the industry expects from the university graduates. So once we get to know all these things, our students, our faculty, including the people who are at the helm of affairs, we will orient everything towards the requirement. So I hope for everybody it will be a fruitful discussion, fruitful takeaway points, and all the students kindly, if anybody has by chance switch on your mobile, please switch it off right away. So honestly, so the proceeding begins, sir. I request to begin the proceeding. Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you, Dr. Pari. And a very good morning to all of you. I think still morning? That's good. So I think it's been a very apt start to what I call fundamentally, different way of looking at things. Dear students, this is a time when there's a lot of transition taking place. You've heard a lot about disruption of technology, and we think about disruption like it has never happened in 5,000 years of human history. But it's not just today that it has started. And as Robin mentioned clearly that there were once first, second, third, and now the fourth industrial revolution. What is fundamentally different in the fourth industrial revolution, apart from the fourth that he so aptly described, if not defined, is the fact that it's all about convergence of all kinds of technologies. It's not like the steam or the electricity or the computers, making a difference in the first, second, and third industrial revolution. But from 2007 onwards, it can be said, when you have the Facebook, you have the Twitter, you have what is called the iPhone, which is Web 3.0, 4.0, 5.0 applications. These are business performance platforms which have knowledge of business, processes, solutions, all fused into one on real-time basis. Now that is the start of the fourth industrial revolution. That is the starting point of this disruption of technology. And before we get into the dynamics of what is expected and what is not, what is the future of work, workplace, and workforce? These are the three questions we need to understand before we even think about what is the expectations from the universities, which are the cradle of creating that whole yearning for learning. It's not that it prepares you for a kind of a degree alone with some skills. It's important. The kind of competencies which has knowledge of the subject, the skills, the relevant aptitude, and the right value sets. That is called competency, if you were to understand competency in technical terms. But what is important, therefore, is that we understand the context in which we are discussing this whole so important issue today. Before we delve, I'll just take about 2 minutes to set the context, and then onwards we'll start with the individual, part of the panel discussion, where we'll look at what is the expectation, whose expectation it is, expectation from whom, what are the universities doing, where do they succeed, where do they fail, what is it that is required of the workforce of the future to do differently from the way we have been taught. Is it adequate? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it something different that we need to do? And then obviously, there are new ways and mechanisms of developing skills. Institutional-based knowledge is not the only thing. Like for the last about 200 years, we've just grown with this fad that we learn everything at colleges. That's institution. But life is far beyond colleges and institutions. The life skills of the future as well as the past were never just learnt at universities. In fact, all the interesting talks that people would make when there is, in fact, your investiture ceremony at the end of your course, people would only talk about what is not taught in colleges. What is not taught in IIMs and Harvards makes more sense many times. So why is this question been there for long enough? And it's puzzled all our minds, in fact, that we understand that, okay, if something which is relevant is not taught, then why are these institutions teaching what they're teaching? Am I right? That does not make sense. So therefore, I think, Robin, you have set a very good context in the morning. When you said that what is the world moving around? If it has to create a coefficient which is closer to 0, therefore, what are we doing and how is it happening? If the skill of the future is fourth itself, and fourth, mind you, is really capturing, encapsulating all that would be required of the future also. That's one universal paradigm of competence that he has so beautifully spelled out. It's all those 6 dimensions that, quite profoundly, in fact, with a lot of profundity, express the real requirement of what you should be doing. But life is much beyond, in fact, than the understanding of the definitions. How and why and what is something which needs to be understood. And therefore, without any further ado, I would start with the whole context of this discussion today. And the topic is expectations from the universities and expectations of the institutes, students by implication. Now, whose expectation are you catering to? Is it Venkatesh? My question to you would be first to start with, whose expectations they have to meet? We have lived for the last 50 years of modern management education where we think that it's only the corporates. They go to campus and they are the ones who select students, particularly the management institutes and the engineering institutes. And they have jobs only in corporates. Life today is much more complicated and far more comprehensive. They have to be prepared for the work of the future. They have to work. Their meaning has to be sought in work. Your worth comes out of your work, not just getting a job. Are you continuing or willing to remain a job seeker or a job creator is your lookout. So therefore, in that context, Venkatesh, whose expectations are they to meet?
Thanks, dear, for giving opportunity. We have a big challenge today in the business. I'm representing airport, of course, it is true. It's upcoming business and a lot of, future growth of business opportunities there. Big challenge for me is that when I go to campus, I don't get right talent over there. I come to almost like compromising way all sometimes. When I go to management institutes, engineering institutes, I do compromise. Adding to that, I invest a lot of time, a lot of money, invest in the people, get prepared for future tomorrow. Biggest challenge for me here. My expectation is that today in a business scenario, we want ready-made stuff like Swiggy and Food Panda. Place the order, get the food. When it comes to talent point of view also, talent is supposed to be there. And what college is supposed to do it today? You may require to work very closely with the industries, develop the curriculum for that. Not only for students, when faculty also. I do see a lot of gap. What faculty understanding is, what business wants is. Entire huge gap happens to be there. We recently experimented in Hyderabad. We went to the institute, invited the faculty to come to industry for the part of internship, whatever we call about that. Faculty had to spend 45 days in industry, understand what business wants. so that they can go back to the institute, develop a curriculum also. Do we say results tomorrow? Maybe tomorrow is the results tomorrow. Right? It's very clear. Business not prepared to wait for some more time. From day one, we want the batting, nothing else. And only very few companies happen to be there where they can invest a lot of money. Companies like TCS could be there, even Infosys could be there. A lot of huge financial muscle must be there. They invest a lot of money and time for the students. But industries, other industries not prepared so.
But then Venkatesh, have we been able to define what is it they are looking for, the industry? Has it ever spelt out what it wants? Apart from the domain level expertise or knowledge, that's one aspect of competence. Has the industry spelt out to the students or the universities as to what they want? And what have they done?
See, today, industry is prepared to spend time with universities also. And one more challenge for us today.
No, but to begin with, how do you spell it out? What is it that you're looking for the students of the future? And the future has arrived.
You're right, you're right.
So it's actually complicated.
You're right. See, you are the guys, talent for us tomorrow, future talent for us tomorrow. And when it comes to airport industry, I don't have ready-made talent in the market. I have to go to market like you guys and prepare my time, invest my time and groom them for tomorrow point of view. And specific to your question is concerned, I am prepared to invest on the universities, prepared to invest time on the students also, provided at least they meet some extent of 70% of my expectations. And point number 2 is concerned, coming to my airport industry is okay. I don't have ready-made curriculum in the market today who can support business.
Why? Why do you think it's not there?
Like airport, like especially public-private partnership airports today, it's a 10-year-old industry in India today. It's big challenge for me, okay? And if I want to hire a talent for airport industry, I have to hire from GVK, Airport Authority of India, nothing else more than that. Otherwise, I have to invest a lot of time, hire the freshers, especially operations point of view, train them, and produce talent for me. And happy to say with you that today in GMR Group, our talent goes not only India, it goes abroad also. That's the demand today for this kind of talent today. To answer your question or more specifically.
So that means you can't just get it outside, you got to create that talent within the organization.
You're right.
So that's the change.
That's a change.
Okay, that's fine.
And to spell out once again to you, we attempted a couple of times with IIM, Bangalore, saying that, can I produce a ready-made talent from IIM? Go to the IIM, define a curriculum for them, go to extent of 60-40 combination. In the sense, 60% they should spend time in the airport industry, 40% classroom sessions. When they complete 2 years course, can they be a ready-made stuff for me? Not only for me, to extent of other airports also. We had a discussion IIM. Not only that, we had a discussion ISB also to extent of saying that, can I get a talent from you guys, ready-made talent?
See, I think that's very well put, Venkatesh. Thank you for that. But the issue is that these domain knowledge today, subject knowledge for any matter, you know what Dr. Watson knows better than any one of us. The point is that what are these common futuristic skills, Deepak? If you were to spell it out, what Venkatesh says that, you know, there are so many domains. After all, they are students, in fact. Where are they going to look at? I mean, are they looking only at the airport? That's not just the only opportunity. There'll be so many kinds of opportunities. So what is that least common denominator, at least, that they should be prepared with? And this is more in terms of softer skills, probably. Because then only they're going to meet the expectations in the sense that, you know, the leadership of tomorrow, the workforce of tomorrow will have to be adaptable, upgradable, modifiable, changeable. That flexibility. Because linearity has died its death, mind you. In the 4th industrial revolution, when technological disruption is taking place at exponential level, mind you friends, change is taking place at every given point of time, not just over a period of time. So the idea is that what is it that these students of the future, I mean, or these students who have to get into the work life of future, what is it that the least common, you know, expectation of the competence that they should be having so that they subscribe to any wants, needs and desires of the future industry or workforce or the workplace in general.
Raju. So, while I second Venkatesh's feeling, yeah, but can I start with first thanking the management of Poornima University and Dr. Suresh for organizing this and getting us here. Thank you very much. And students, thank you for having us all. Wonderful to see you all. And one point that I want to straight away connect with you by saying that, you know, you guys have honestly, and not only you, I mean, last few batches and, you know, maybe 5-7 years behind you, maybe 5-7 years ahead of you, You've arrived at a very good time, honestly. You've arrived at a time when the country, that is country, is one of the fastest growing economy of the world. Okay. There's abundance of opportunity, honestly. Whatever depression, and you've heard that, and nobody is better than Mr. Robin for you guys to explain that in such simple terms, that the glass is not half empty, the glass is already half full. And
it depends on who fills the remaining half also.
Yes, and that's you. Who fills the remaining half? The new generation fills the remaining half, correct? So you've arrived at a wonderful time. I remember I worked for the Reliance Group, and I always look forward to hearing what the leaders there are saying. And I remember Mukesh Ambani saying that such a democratic situation happens in a country's lifetime once in 200 years, when a country becomes one of the topmost growing economies of the world. It has happened in Europe, it has happened in Middle East, and it's happening in India. So you have to ride this tide. So you're very fortunate with whatever complexity or fear or anxiety that you will have. And you know, we all will have anxieties because you're young, you're growing, there's insecurity, there is peer pressure, parent pressure, aspiration. So anxiety will definitely be there. And also because, you know, we like anxiety. We don't have much to do. Parents are taking care of almost everything. So you'll bother yourself with this small stuff and get cluttered in that. Don't do that. You have to just ride this tide. You're very fortunate, and be confident about your future, and be very focused, and you will get what you want. Yeah, that's a message that I wanted to give. The second thing, Rajiv, if I may add, and which will lead us to the question that you've asked, is, friends, things are changing for sure, right? This is not that time of when, you know, we got into industry where we had a 5-year plan and a 5-year or 10-year vision, and we had authority, and, you know, there is a clear strategy. It's over, okay? And that is what disruption is all about. What digitalization and what telecommunication and mobility and internet has done, and the technology, it has destabilized many things for us. You today don't find organizations which can talk about a 5-year strategy and work on that plan. So what is it doing? It's changing, it's evolving, it's questioning everything that it is doing. What it decided last year possibly had a new tangent today. And that is creating the whole range of disruptions around us. And when this disruption gets into the organization, and when you are a high-performing, disruptive organization, you create pressure. And that is the clutter that we are seeing around us. We want a guy who can bat, you know, from day one. You know, I want a 1-year management trainee. I will put him in one section, then I will move him to the second section, then the third section, and by the 7th section, he is also gone. Those luxuries are over for us. Yeah, and I think for most of us, because we don't have, and
you've got to be more comfortable with what is called ambiguity today.
Yeah.
You got to take decisions in a state of semi-dark. You don't have the complete information available at any given point of time.
So this, a resultant of this is that we don't have patience with people. You know, we want one day match नहीं है, 2020 का match है. आ जाओ भैया बैटिंग करो, नहीं आता निकलो, दूसरा आ जाओ. And India unfortunately has abundance in terms of people, if not talent. And you know, somewhere I think you guys have to understand that this is the change that I'm getting into. Can I be semi-prepared at least to be ready mentally that yes, I'm now going into an organization which will not have a 5-6 years plan for myself. I will create the plan to be in this organization. I will create the plan to prosper. I will create the plan for my own growth, for my own ability to understand the technology, learn, and be relevant to the organization all the time. And that's a big change that we are seeing. Unfortunate, we never had that kind of a situation. We had a training plan and a career progression plan and all that. I think those luxuries are gradually getting over. And so are the perks also that we used to get at once time. Today, everything is about your salary, your cost, your CTC, you get your money, you move. Luxuries are over. Authority is also over. I mean, I just can't as a leader be authoritative and believe that I've said something and everybody will follow the line. I mean, that's getting over. So these luxuries and perks are getting over. It's a new organization, a new age organization, and you have to get ready for that kind of an organization.
And therefore, Deepak, I feel that there's a good news for all of you. The point is that we say that we have 30 years of corporate experience. Now, friends, let me give you the good news that this 30 years of experience is of no relevance today. I'm all on ground zero. At least I can speak for myself. We are all on ground zero. We have to unlearn a lot. The good news to you is that you have to unlearn less, provided you learn the new laws, the new skills, the future skills. And therefore, you'll have to keep on unlearning and relearning at the same time. So the challenge to you is that we did learn some time and it lasted for over 3 decades. But now, what you will learn have to be unlearned and you have to relearn. So this learning cycle will have to keep on, moving forward as we move. So taking a cue from there, the Sujan, I would like to kind of, like to hear from you, from what Deepak has put in that, the golden rule probably is that there are no golden rules. You got to start somewhere, right? So are the institutions, if they're told they have to prepare them for the future, they have to know what the industry needs, and the industry must communicate more often. And we can't assume that the industry knows it all also. The tragedy today is that there is no single repository of wisdom available anywhere. It's all subject to adapting, upgrading, modifying, changing, and changing at a pace like never before. You have to, in this context, start responding, in fact, in reaction time. What Deepak said that, you got to not live long with one particular strategy. So you keep on revisiting. So that is this scenario in which these students will be facing the world. So how do you think this industry and academia, communication, which was there, we talked a lot about, go to the campuses and this and that and go there, give guest lectures, talk to them, have them internship process, externships. But it seems to be not working out, Sujan. So what in your way, in fact, is what is coming in the way, A? B, the point is what you think should be the way forward.
Rajiv, very on the spot with your assessment as usual. As the discussion was happening that industry should go back to academia and tell them what kind of students they want. The question going on in my head that as a team leader or as an industry leader, do I know what I want? I don't know what I want because I don't know what game I'm going to be playing tomorrow. Today I'm playing hockey, I need a hockey stick, I need a face shield, I need a XYZ. Tomorrow I might be doing swimming. Do I know the tools that I need? The rules are changing so fast that as industry, I do not know what I can ask of academia. The simple question you will ask is, so why are you here? I'm here because I believe that certain things, the fundamentals have not changed. While the rules of the game are changing, the sport that industry is playing is changing. Fundamentally, the requirements of what we want in people is not going to change. Unfortunately or fortunately, what kind of education an MBA or graduation or post-graduation prepares you for, you go out, I don't know about you, I speak for myself. When I went out of my college, I thought, okay, I'm going to be working on strategy. I'm going to be working on a marketing plan. I'm going to be handling large budgets. Unfortunately, for the first few years, it is only slog work. It's going to be something which is very unglamorous. You are mentally prepared to think like CEOs, act like CEOs, and udhar jaake, you find that the work which you receive is very unglamorous. When I joined the job scenario, every person, every officer had at least 5 people, support staff behind him. Someone to file papers, someone to type the memos, someone to carry everything. All those people are gone in the 30 years that I've been in the industry. Everything has to be done by me. So where does that leave you as immediate pass-outs? The problem is the moment you go and join your job, you receive your laptop, your ID and everything, and you are then told to do something which is unglamorous, it takes away a part of your spirit. It takes away as part of your passion. You joined finance to do XYZ, Forex and treasury management. Why am I being told to go through a pile of stack of bills and, do something which is slightly higher than a data entry operator? But what I would like to say is everybody on this panel here is here not because of the glamorous work that they did. It is because they were able to do the unglamorous stuff with the same level of enthusiasm as the glamorous stuff. Dr. Bedi, who last I heard was the governor of Puducherry, I think, Kiran Bedi, She received her Magsaysay award not for being the commissioner of Delhi, which was her most glamorous job. She received her Magsaysay award because she was the head of prisons at Tihar jail, which was actually a punishment posting. If you are able to do the punishment posting jobs with the same level of enthusiasm and bring in your innate creativity and passion on a day-to-day basis, you will find that you are able to succeed in every task that is given to you, no matter what the VUCA is going around. The volatility and uncertainty will continue. And how to keep the spark alive, that's a different discussion altogether. But I remember when, the more you read, the more you go back to you start thinking that your dad was probably the wisest management guru you had. My father used to say as a child that I will make you a Spartan. I never knew as a child what a Spartan is. I perhaps realized what a Spartan is when I saw this movie, The 300. Since you are young people, you'll understand the language of movies. Go watch the movie, The 300. It is about a little city-state called Sparta and how they prepare their young people to meet the challenges, which is in a time which is very violent and very uncertain. I would say that you should shape yourself to be Spartans. You will be thrown in front of wolves without any tools and you'll have to fight it out.
You've got to be disciplined and still be ready to break the rules.
Exactly. I had a very interesting situation. A young man who handles Nepal, he was supposed to make a presentation. Suddenly he calls me and he says, sir, I'm terrified. I said, but you've made presentations in front of large groups before. Why are you terrified? He said, the Prime Minister of Nepal just walked in and the stakes have suddenly gone sky high. I've never presented to a Prime Minister before. I said, I haven't presented to a Prime Minister before either, but you are the expert on the subject. He knows nothing about the subject that you're speaking. So go ahead and do your best. So the stakes of the game can change any moment. It doesn't mean that you have to be 30 years of experience to speak before a Prime Minister. You would be suddenly finding yourself in positions which you have never thought of. And you need to prepare for yourself to be a Spartan, to be able to handle any situation. The people who say कि मैं Wednesday के दिन फलाना डिमकाना नहीं खाता, suddenly you are thrown into a Philippine island in the middle of Pacific and only food available is little squares of raw tuna. There's nothing else available. There are little squares of raw tuna. Your hosts are very proud of it. You have to eat it. Such is life. And this is a simple example. Work will throw up many much more challenges. Unless you are a Spartan, you will not be able to cope up with it. I would require. Study how to become a Spartan.
And that would include what? I think that's a very, very good point at which you left. What will it mean if you can elaborate a bit? Because that's a very interesting point at which you have left.
The first thing I guess of being a Spartan is that having the mindset that no challenge is above me. I have always told myself when I have looked at myself in the mirror, कि साला तेरा problem ना lack of confidence नहीं है, तेरा problem overconfidence है. तू मरेगा तो overconfidence की वजह से. And that is the spirit which takes you through. Every morning when I go into office and I see problems which I don't have a solution to, मेरे आँखों में डर नहीं दिखता. When I talk to my team and give them the directions on how to handle that particular problem, मेरे आँखों में ये दिखना चाहिए कि I know how to handle this. I have no direction, no sense where I am going out that morning. I am Columbus heading out into the sea. I don't know whether there are dragons, whether the water will fall off the edge of the earth, but I am very confident that I am going to find India. निकला था इंडिया ढूंढने, मिला कुछ और, ये अलग बात है. But that confidence is necessary. I'm not saying be foolhardy. I'm not saying being stupid. I'm saying have the confidence that the solutions will arrive before you if you believe in finding solutions. If you say कि बॉस हार गया, ये तो मेरे को मालूम ही नहीं, ये सामने आदमी हिब्रू में बात कर रहा है, मेरे को तो हिब्रू आता नहीं, मेरे को तमिल आता है, तेलुगु आता है, मराठी आता है, गुजराती आता है, हिब्रू मेरे को मालूम नहीं. But if you believe that this man is a human being and he's communicating and I want to understand and I want to help him, then you will find a solution. If you give up hope, then there is nothing before that. The game is lost. But you have to always believe, no matter what is the problem in front of me, I am higher than the problem.
See, that's a very, very good point that he has made, basically. And see, it is, this is a technological age. And what is technology not to be afraid of? You know, there are a lot of robotics and cobotics going on here today. And whatever is programmable, and my question to you would be, Prashant, that, you know, how the world is changing very differently. And the future looks that, people say that there'll be no job growth in the future because robots will take over. While the understanding is clear that in this world, for the sake of efficiency and increased, ask on productivity, the point is whatever is programmable and predictable would be done by robots. But what is not predictable has to be done by humans. So human being will have to elevate themselves even much more. So how do you see things happening like this, that students are equipped with that capability, that capability, that sheer audacity, like, that if I don't find thing on the earth, I'll find it on the moon. So that kind of audacity, how do you go about doing it? Because there seems to be a contradiction. At one place we say that robots will take over the jobs, but there is a possibility that robots will create more jobs of a different kind for human beings, which will be able to handle the situations or not just in time, because just in time happens in a predictable environment. Just in case scenarios. To handle just in case scenarios, how do humans in fact develop their stealth, and how is it happening institutionally, individually? How does that happen?
I think that's a great challenge, and in a way I'm happy that we have run our runway so that we don't have to face that challenge so badly. But these people, the youngsters,
we have touched down.
We have touched down. But the people who are sitting before us, who are just going to take off, let me try and address this question that Rajiv has raised, which must be, lingering on in your minds also. First of all, I think we started with this question that what do we expect from you? Now, please bear in your mind that it is not what we expect from you which is critical. What's more critical is what you are going to expect from yourself. And this, please write it in your heart. Because, and I'm pretty serious about it. When I joined Reliance, and Rajiv is also from Reliance, and we had an ex-boss called Mr. V.V. Bhatt. Now, this man was a barefoot HR manager, and he had deconstructed many HR theories. But when I joined, I just was out of, not just out of, but I was 7-8 years, good, solid HR experience, worked with multinational. So when I joined, I was clueless in the first couple of weeks. Then I met him, sought his time and met him, and I said that, boss, I think I need role clarity. Role clarity was in thing in those days. So I went to him and I asked him for role clarity. Now, what does this man do? He took out a white sheet from his drawer, kept in front of me, and said that write whatever you want to do. Now, this is not a small thing, because please understand that, and this I'm talking about 20 years ago. Now, most of the concepts that we had learned were becoming out of sync when I had started working. Now, this is also going to happen to you, as most of the panel members have outlined, that the rate of metabolism has gone much ahead. So your problem is much more acute and difficult. And the only solution, and I am also answering the question that Rajiv raised, is creating high learnability. One of my bosses used to tell me that please write your resume every year. Not because he wanted me to leave, but because he wanted me to check whether I have added something to myself in that year or not. Now that span, because we reinvented ourselves, I would say, in a decade. In my career, I would have reinvented myself thrice or 4 times. But you don't have that luxury. You will have to reinvent yourself almost
online
every
real
6
time.
months.
Online real time, basically.
Yeah. So be in touch with what is happening around you and keep reinventing yourself. And that's the only way to tackle this problem of technological or business uncertainty. And I urge you that even if, when we talk about high learnability, I'm talking about becoming so agile and so flexible that whatever comes your way, you must have hunger, you must have some restlessness in you to devour that in and out, in and out. And you must be prepared to put those extra hours, extra efforts. I tell you, when Reliance was putting up the retail business, most of them did not know, because they were in a traditional manufacturing business. Most of them did not know how retail works. But every meeting I found, not just Mr. Mukesh Ambani, but his right hand, Mr. Manoj Modi, who was working on this whole concept, they were come prepared with all kind of retail terminology, retail knowledge, what was happening in retail industry. So at that age, they were putting in that extra effort. I think you should always be prepared to put that extra effort, number one. And number two, keep asking yourself that I am the master of my destiny. You will find that when you join organizations, most of the organizations where, I'm excluding some of us, but where most of the leaders are like me, who are old-fashioned, you will find they don't know what to do with you. Our managers do not know how to handle young talent. That's a fact. And therefore, you must take charge of your own career destiny. You must take charge of your own career destination, and you will do well.
I think that's very well put. Thank you. And now my question to you would be, Sanjay. Do you see what's happening is that agility, as has been put, is the overarching competence now. If you were to say the C of excess, one of the C's would be competencies. And what is the overarching competency that's required in this age of change, where exponential change is taking place, is agility. Now, what is agility? Agility would mean nimble-footedness, adaptability, upgradability, that cognitive flexibility, that kind of, ability to cope with things and, as I said, respond in reaction time. Now, Prashant, Sanjay, the question would be, and they would be very keen to know exactly, that we keep hearing about the future skills in this context, right? That agility is not something new. Basically, the moment, industrial revolution started taking place, it started changing, the efficiency bit, in fact. And as Robin said, efficiency alone would not be the right criteria of success. Efficacy and probity, which means efficacy is that efficiency should be effective in delivering what you need to deliver, and probity without cutting corners. You got to be kind of, vindicating the thoroughness of whatever you do with quality. What are these future skills which would be not domain level knowledge, but few of the skills that you think would be domain agnostic skills which these students can better prepare themselves, not maybe as an institution, because you have your domain expertise in a particular manner, they'll have that. The knowledge, subject knowledge is not a problem today. There's overkill of information and wisdom available on a subject knowledge, and Dr. Watson, as we say, knows as good as we know, and in fact better than us. What are the few things that you will tell these students, in fact, to be prepared for in terms of real skills? 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe just 3 top skills that you would say which would be encompassed under the agility, overarching competence of agility. 1, 2, or 3 of them, if you can name a few.
Okay, so I'll start with 2 incidents, so to speak, personal experience, and then I'll dwell upon
Perfectly.
these competency things. So, 2013, a new CEO joined our company. He had come from Silicon Valley. By the way, I'm from Mahindra First Choice Wheels. This company is into used car ecosystem, or used vehicle ecosystem rather. And till 2012, we were largely into physical business. So we are very proud that we have so many company-owned stores and so many dealer-owned stores. And I was heading business excellence and HR. So I was in the middle of preparing that the Mahindra Way report, the TQM report, like Tata Business Excellence report. And the CEO, who was operating from Bangalore, from his home, unlike to other Mahindra CEOs, he kind of reached office and he said that, what are you doing? I said, I'm in the middle of preparing this TQM report. I was very proud of, having Six Sigma, TPM background and all that. I was very proud of. I was corporate quality head of 3
By the
Tata
way, I'll just tell you, TQM and TPM are quality process. You know that how do you infuse quality in whatever you do? What Robin was talking about, operation excellence, TQM, total quality management. So that, it is very important for you all to understand, maybe these students may not simplify them, but that understanding of the process is that you get it first time right. You don't reject a project or a product or a service after you have spent the raw material. So at every step in the process, there is a check, and at the end of the day, you get it first time right.
Yeah.
So that is, in short, TQM, total quality
Rajiv,
management.
I'm going to make controversial statements. I would like you to pause. So, my CEO said that, what TQM? I don't give it a damn. I mean, it's typical American slang, which I don't want to use. He said, I don't give it a damn to this TQM report and all that. I have important meeting, come and join me. I said, come on. So, and we are fondly calling him Nagi, so Dr. Nagendra Palle. He had all kind of degree, IIT Madras and PhD and all that from US and all that. I said, come on Nagi, you have to sign this report and tomorrow I have to send this report. He said, I don't care at all. I will speak to, if required, Mr. Anand Mahindra. Okay, but I don't give it a damn. I said, so you don't believe in this customer-driven excellence and quality and all that? He said, no, I don't believe in all these things. And I'm seriously telling you. And he said that all this Motorola and GE days are over. In US, nobody gives respect to these companies. This is the time of Google and Facebook, this type of companies. So I was like shocked. I was like destroyed. I said, come on, what kind of CEO is he? I mean, he is saying that I don't give importance to customer and quality and all that. And then I took a pause. Then I started kind of understanding his perspective. And then he gradually taught me in his own way. He said that, we are in this space, Sanjay, which is uncharted territory in India. Most of the industry is, in fact, unorganized. Only 18% of this industry is dominated by companies like Mahindra, Maruti, Tata, etc. And he said that customers are not there. We have to identify the society's problem and create the customer out of that. Quality is not so important, novelty is important. So it is the age of innovation, Sanjay. And we are no more used car company. We are a tech company. Our dealers are into used car buying and selling. Wonderful. I was completely like awestruck. I was like,
That's pretty profound, I think.
Pretty profound, and I was destroyed. I had so much proud of having TPM, Six Sigma background and all that. So then I said to myself, well, he is my CEO, so I have to align myself. And then I started unlearning whatever I had learned. Very, very important to today's time. Now I'm building context. You asked me that what are the critical competency. So unlearning is very, very important. You should not have the functional emotionalism or the emotion for any sort of learning or the past success. As C.K. Prahlad said that failures are actually, the seed of failures are sown in the time of success. Because you develop the arrogance. The second example I would like to give you. 2019, Nagi Palle left, the new CEO joined. And I had a situation where 2 senior people left. One gentleman who was heading the digital business, he left. And this new CEO, who was a TS officer, ex-TS officer from Tata, he joined us and he walked in my room. He asked me, Sanjay, so we have crisis. There is no, head of digital business. What to do? I said, so we'll have to get somebody from outside or from group. He said, no, I want you to head the business. I said, come on, you must be kidding. I don't have sales experience. And I don't understand digital. He said, no, that's a good reason. I mean, you have to. So, and now I'm head of digital business as well. So HR, business excellence, plus I will be doing this.
I think that's a very, very good lesson for all of you.
Well, the point I'm trying to make here, I thought that first of all, let me tell you the story and then build the context. The second critical competence is that be open for mobility. You will be required to, because see, let me tell you, all said and done, organization does not have abundant budget or resources, so to speak. Organization does not have the luxury to hire people from outside every time. Organization would like you to move from one function to another function in seamless manner. So one has to be mentally prepared for that kind of transition. Now, so this is second future skill, so to speak, the mobility. And when I'm saying mobility, it doesn't stop at mobility. I hope I'm not taking much time.
No, that's fine, perfectly.
So what is really more important is, which I am actually using, the humility to learn. Acknowledge that you have to be lifelong learner. I mean, imagine, poor me. I am senior vice president in my company and all that, and suddenly this digital business responsibility is given to me, and I don't know anything about digital business. I can't pretend in front of my client or my junior employees that I don't know. But then I requested my subordinates. I said that, boss, first of all, teach me about the digital business, about the nuances of digital business. And whenever I'll go along with you to the client, whenever you are pitching to the client, I will record with your permission. And then I'm going to practice the same thing on and on and on. So learning with humbleness. Because see, let me tell you, the skills half life is getting crashed like any radioactive material, as they say. Any science student from, I hope you understand half-life of radioactive material.
Absolutely.
So the relevance of skill, the life of skill is getting reduced like any radioactive material, so to speak. So you have to be open to unlearn and learn new things. We are living in truly VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. And there is a constant pushback from the various stakeholders, the countervailing pushback, as they say. So these things put together, I mean, you cannot think to kind of have any of your superior to have the, all kind of knowledge, all kind of experience. So it's a real ambiguous world. So we tell our juniors that I don't know, much about this industry, because there is no much history in used car industry, so to speak. So you have to figure out. We expect you to hit the ground running from the day one. You go. Failing is fine, but not trying is crime.
Correct.
So these are the things: continuous learning, flexibility. These are the things, cognitive flexibility. These are the things.
I think very true. Sujoy, I think, has to add something to what you said.
Sujoy is a good name. Sujan and Roy get
Sujan, sorry.
Credit. I have a credit card by the name Sujoy, so they actually combine my name and surname. Sorry. I would like to add a small anecdote. You were talking about learning, and last March I was in Geneva. I happened to be receiving Mr. Tata at the airport. So Mr. Tata comes out. He's carrying a simple rucksack, a Samsonite rucksack, nothing fancy, and he says, "I have to go to the washroom. Can you hold this for me?" I said, "Sure." You see a 80-plus-year-old gentleman coming from a journey carrying a rucksack. How heavy do you expect it to be? 5 kilos, 6 kilos? Laptop, I'm sure he has something fancy, nothing heavy like I carry. So with a weight expectation, I reached out to the rucksack. And when I held it, I almost fell over because it was about 15-20 kilos heavy. This elderly gentleman is carrying a rucksack which is 15-20 kilos heavy. So he goes into the washroom and I'm wondering what he's carrying. Does he carry bricks? And then his assistant comes out and he says, "Sujan, I think you have his rucksack. I can take it from you." I said, "What does he carry?" That was my first question. And he said, "Oh, those would be his books." So here is a man who's 80 plus years old. He's rich, all of you know that. He's famous, all of you know that. He's successful, all of you know that. But his hunger for learning is still so much that he goes with 8-10 books with him all the time. He carries 15 kilos of books with him. What is your excuse for not reading books?
Right. I think, and the idea therefore is that, we come to this, that failure can be celebrated. And books are the, in fact, the votaries of information, knowledge, and wisdom ultimately. So, self-learning, and I think I'll come down to you both, Prasenjit as well as Vishnu. I think either of you can choose to answer. See what happens. What you said, Sanjay, was very, very, very important and profound. That innovation is something which is important. We all talk about it. Now, where does this innovation come from? People say stay out of box. But then, who the hell asked you to get into the box first? You just see the car manufacturing story. You all know it. We know the electrical vehicles have come out and Tesla has come out with it. Before the others, mind you, the energy crisis is going to come was known to everybody. Yes or no? Why the hell did somebody who was heading, and you know who's this Musk? Before he was at Tesla, Elon was the chairperson of a company, financial company called PayPal. So he was at PayPal and he created Tesla, which is electric vehicle. Neither Volkswagen did it before him or in a large scale. Neither Toyota's nor the Ford or the GE, even the Tata Motors came out much later. Now they were supposed to do it or not, but they did not do it. Somebody from outside had to think of creating an electrical vehicle, and this disrupted the whole automobile sector. Now just imagine, this is what happens. And I think Robin, I mean, you've written a book where you said that how many dumb things people do within an organization. Can you beat it? The best car producers, Toyotas of the world, who have taught the world quality management. And therefore, Sanjay, you're right. Quality management and all those management processes have outlived their utility today. In this world, doing things systematically is not the only best way to do it. You have to think more systemically. So, therefore, more cohesively, more organically. You can't be saying that I know my domain and I'll stick to it. You got to understand, as Sanjay has put in, those kind of, extra domain information, knowledge, attitudes of having the right kind of flexibility, that innovative skills, in fact, and what he says, creativity, critical thinking, so on and so forth. The whole idea of complex problem solving. So therefore, if either of you can kind of, talk about how does this, this has to be therefore not taught in institutes. So self-management in education, self-management, managed learning, MOOCs are available, there are free courses available, the host of information. Any single institution or university cannot fulfill the desire of the students to know what they need to know. So I think both of you can choose to answer this question as to what would be, you see the emerging trend, and what should the students be doing? They should just depend on what is taught in college or school, or they kind of, go along their search of their own for the moon.
Thanks, Rajiv. Hello.
I think you've got to put in more inside.
Hello. Yeah, thanks, Rajiv. Being the last speaker has always the challenges, okay? Most of the things are being said.
You're still the second last. And Robin has to come on.
Okay, Rajiv, with your kind permission, because I would like to add a lot of things that were said to other questions.
Please
okay?
do that. Please do that.
First and foremost, thanks, Dr. Padi. It's a pleasure to be here. Dear friends, I come from NTT, a technology firm. I'm also associated with NASSCOM. So what I'll say here will be more on the tech side of it. Okay. So first question, Rajiv, was what are the skills, okay, the students, or what are the things students expect, okay? You spoke about domain knowledge. I think what we're looking more from the student community is we need some trilingual experts, okay, hybrid, okay? Domain is one, digital, and we need soft skills, a combination of three, okay? I know it's difficult, but this is what the world is going towards it, a blend of skills. Because if you look at Industry 4.0, this is also where you have automation, data exchange, and you have a combination convergence of cloud, you have convergence of IoT, convergence of cognitive computing, okay? So just don't get narrowed down to domain knowledge. You need to go beyond that, okay? You need to build up these skills. I know the ask is more, I know the demand is quite stiff, but try to aspire for that. Second, adding on, Robin gave a fantastic context setting, and his opening wicket was tremendous good. It's laid the foundation for us. He spoke about IQ. He spoke about EQ. With his permission, I would like to add one more to it. And today's age, it's coming. It's DQ, digital quotient. Okay? I'll give you an example. So in Northern Europe, there was a church, okay? And the funds for the church were drying up because people were not putting their money into the cash boxes because they were hardly carrying money. They were all carrying the cards. And the church were in tremendous dire straits. What to do? What Visa did, okay, they came out with a fantastic solution. So they adopted the NFC, which is near field communication, by which it's a pre-authorized up to $10 or 10 pounds you can put in, okay? No questions asked. So, digital quotient is something where you seize the moment. You have the technology that comes in and solves the problem. Are we stopping there? No. I think what's happening or going to happen in future, is DD, and where companies can thrive, is digital dexterity. Okay? For the long term, companies who can build on digital dexterity, what is digital dexterity? It's the ability of cognitive abilities and your domain knowledge, okay, combined into one, which will give you a long-term perspective of staying viable, staying relevant in today's world, tomorrow's world. So that was the second thing. The third thing which I would like to add is what's happening in our industry or in the corporate world, okay, where you should know. And we are all grappling with it. I'll be very honest, okay. You are learning strategy, you are learning guys, learning marketing and all those stuff. But what you're learning is based on a competitive scenario, okay? You do a SWOT analysis, you do find out where you are, you do the analysis of the market, etc., and you know the competition. Unfortunately, tomorrow's world, competition is not visible, okay? Tomorrow's world, competition is not an entity which is in front of you. Then you can size up the entity, you know what is the strategy, which market share they have, you can find it. How can you fight someone who is not visible? And when I'm saying this, I'm talking about the entire startups community who will be lurking anywhere. Those startups have tremendous high IP, okay? Suddenly they will emerge from anywhere, and by the time you realize they've emerged, they'll whack the daylight of you, okay? Big firms, if you look at S&P 500, if you look at the industry index, every 10, 15 years you'll see 50% of the firms don't exist because they got hit by those unknown forces. How you, when you join the corporate world, and how we, when we're here, how do you cope up with this? How do you fight an enemy which is not seen, but we know it's there? So one sudden moment, it's like, will come forward and hit you. So the entire ability that we need to build it is called perceptual acumen. Read a book by Professor Ramcharan, Attacker's Advantage. It's a lovely book. So he talked about how you need to build up that acumen, perceptual acumen. How leaders of tomorrow are going to survive or succeed if they have that. Easier said than done. It's very difficult to build up. But you need to keep on harnessing that particular trait, okay? Because this is, the world of tomorrow is not an easy field. It's like when you were kids, you had a book, okay, which had dotted, okay? And you know you have to fill up you just join the dots, you'll get a picture. The world of tomorrow, the dots are not there. You will have to create your dots. So we are moving into an asymmetric world, which is not so easy, well defined. Okay, I don't want to go scare you guys, but we all have to work with it. We all have to grapple with it. That is the world of tomorrow. Things which are not foreseen, things which are not heard, not seen, etc., will suddenly emerge and will be in front of you. And they are so flexible, agile, nimbleness, which Rajiv talked about. And we, big organizations, are like elephants, take time to move. How do we cope up with them? Do we have the resources? Do we have the nimbleness to fight with them? Because they come with such a high IP, they will, just take away the market share and we lost. That's the grappling truth that we work to do with. The third point, okay, fourth point, which is to his point of how do we build up this particular skill set. I think if I look at four stakeholders, the industry, I'll put university management, okay, separate from the faculty. Then third is the faculty, and fourth is the students. I think everyone has a role to play. Every single has a role to play. The students have a tremendous role to play. You can always blame the faculty. You can always say this has not been given, this has not been done. What are you doing yourself, okay? So the platforms, Rajiv talked about the MOOCs. How many of you know about MOOCs? MOOCs. How many of you have done courses there? And how many of you have completed courses there? So I represent NASCOM. Unfortunately, statistics is very, very disheartening. Some of them know the course, some of them attempted to do the course, and barely less than about 25% or maybe less than that have completed the course.
And just imagine they're available free of cost to you.
Yes. So putting a blame, pointing a finger, he's not done it, he's not done it, he's not done it, that's all fine. End of the day, how are you geared up for doing it? You have to be the master of your destiny, as all of my fellow speakers have said. It's your initiative that needs to come out. Okay, go and do the course. Nobody stops you. Assume that no one is there. You are solely have to drive the vehicle. That's how you're the driver's seat. That's how you need to do it. Okay, to the faculty. Okay, with humble submission, as everyone needs to learn. Okay, and unlearn and relearn. I think the faculty, because I'm saying that because I have been to a lot of IIMs. I've taken some classes. I have been part of a lot of courses. The theoretical part, the domain knowledge is all fine, okay? It's the application where things go wide apart, okay? And I'll give you an example. I've known in the IIMs, but I'll give you an example. I went for a 1-week course on VUCA, okay, strategy for VUCA. And it's a top-notch IIM. After the courses, the case studies that came out were pertaining to organizations that existed 20, 30, 35 years back. We're talking about VUCA and we're talking about this. There's no mention of new age industries, no mention of, say, health tech, fintech, all the tech startup. They're so cut off, because we are resorting to archives. That's not the world of tomorrow is going to be. Okay, my humble submission to the faculty members, we also need to learn. Okay.
Don't you think that that should be the end of best practices and you have to create next practices?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that comes from the common industry academia collaboration.
Correct.
Thanks to Dr. Padi, he is doing a lot of work. And I think in fact, I was there yesterday evening and we were having discussion. So he talked about how he's building up a sample MBA classes and more. So more of interaction is needed. Okay, calling the industry experts and taking one session, it's a flash in the pan. It's not going to work out. You need to have more sustained, embedded industry interactions. My submission is, Dr. Padi, just a suggestion from my side is, all your curriculums, at least 25% of the course content should be taken by industry practitioners. Okay, especially the applications part of it. Okay, make that very mandatory. And I know we are not US where the industry academia projects works take on because we suffer from that lacuna. But build up the industry quotient factor high on your agenda. Wherever the faculty can go and meet them, you have this project work, the summer training students. At least when the summer training is present to the corporates, if some of the faculty members can be present, okay? So we need to have those interactions going because that is very, very vital. And from the industry point of view, obviously, we were having a discussion about cup of tea in which some firms said that we don't want to do it and there was the finance element. But I think industry also needs to put a step in the right direction because if we don't help them to build because they are the sourcing base, okay? Any industry worldwide have to come to the education sector. If the inputs don't come from here, then it's difficult, okay? What industries are doing, some in Wipro and Infosys, they have done some finishing schools, okay? The gap between the pass out of academic and going into the college, it's called a finishing school. Many of the industries are doing it themselves, okay? Now, what we can do is, maybe the institutions, you can have a tie-up with those, industry veterans, okay? Who basically take those finishing schools and see how you can inbuild into your final year programs, okay? So that the product that goes out is a market ready, okay? We, in the institutions, what we do is, we have a curriculum, we have an exam, you pass the exam. That's a ticket. That's a ticket, a passport that you go to the corporate world. Are you market ready? Are you corporate ready is the question we need to ask. And there is a difference between our ticket and being market ready or corporate ready. How do we bridge that gap? And I think this initiative has to be taken from all stakeholders.
Don't you think that it's also the enlightened self-interest of the corporates themselves to invest into institutions now and create this collaboration more meaningful and more real, not just expecting and are not doing anything. So therefore, what do you think are the trends that are emerging? I mean, are we learning some lessons as an industry or as an academia, trying to change, or we just talk about it here in such forums and we just get away with it? The moment we go out of it, we still get into the rut and start doing what we've been doing for long.
My view is like very different, and pardon me for that.
That's fine.
It's like, I do not think today corporate has time to invest so much in terms of like grooming into like.
But don't you think they're running out of time as well?
They don't have time and they're faced with stiff competition everywhere. So it's not easy to keep up pace. And this dichotomy always existed. And today there are new dimensionalities getting added. So there is old economy which is running out of steam because of various startups coming into the forefront, and then they are trying to take away their market share. And the startups by themselves do not know how the win is going to come and how they are going to survive the next race, right? So if you look at even the businesses, right? The definition of business that you need to make profit, you need to survive. If you do not have cash, you will go out of business. Is going out of whack. Swiggy does not make money. Amazon does not make money. Nobody makes money in the new age businesses, right? It's all about customer acquisition. What is your CAC? Keep it as low as possible.
And on the valuation front.
Yeah, and get the valuation to such a front that you're too big to fail, right? And then somebody would acquire you or somebody
But if you're too big to fail, don't you think you're too big to exist in that sense?
It is too big to fail in the sense that you would not, it is to let go such a company, like what happened to WhatsApp, right? They ran out of steam, but Facebook bought them for $18 billion, right? It's not a joke, and company of 9 people, right, had built it. And then, it's, see, that's what is happening and that's reality today, right? And if you say, how do you bridge this dichotomy? I think universities are doing fantastic job in terms of like grooming the new talent and getting people job ready or skill ready, right? And if we have to see, we have to divide probably into 2 different sections to bridge the gaps in terms of there is life skills and then there is skills required, what you have learned from the theories and the academia, right? When they both converge together, then you develop as a fine individual or a fine professional. And why I'm saying that is that, like every one of us have talked about it, today corporates do not know what the problem they're going to face for tomorrow. So they are looking at people who have problem solving skills, who are fearless, right? Tomorrow, then the other problems are that they need to be nimble footed and they need to move at a rapid pace. So the biggest difference where I see, and I completely agree by whatever we discussed in the morning and during this conversation, and the biggest difference I feel to be an entrepreneurial spirit is something to do with the pay structure, right? And the pay structure, the monthly salary quotient, right, which the monthly salary keeps hitting us, gets us to think in a certain way only. The moment you are able to dissociate that and say, hey, it doesn't matter to me, there is a structural payment which I need to take care to address my home needs, and I'm going to work within that ambit and then try and see how I'm going to create an impact. That's when our entire thinking approach will change. And today all startups think that way, right? I have this opportunity and this is the capital allocation I have. How do I disrupt? And how do I bring down the big giants who have...
Wherever there's friction, I mean, you're trying to address an issue wherever there's friction in society as such. See, wherever there's a problem, there's an opportunity.
What Swiggy did, there was no friction also, right? There was absolutely no problem. And
no, I think the traveling and times that people would be spending at home and other places, you know, I think that was an addressing that issue, that you don't have time to go out and so you get it.
So that
you're
is
coming late
now
home.
Post facto you are thinking,
Okay.
right? They created that need.
That's
I know Harsha very well. And
Yeah,
I
at the
was
time when
talking-
they did.
At the time when they were doing it at 60 rupees a juice or something and charging customer nothing and charging the juice maker 10 rupees. And I was like, how long will you do it? Right? And he said, this is the customer acquisition model. If I am able to acquire as many customers as possible, then
Yeah,
I'm
you'll
gonna
have the
be
data
right.
monetization opportunity, you'll have the valuation going
So,
up.
In the world where everything is changing, right? You cannot play on somebody else's turf. So back in those days, right, when India and Pakistan were hockey champions, Europeans decided that they'll change the turf, right? It was grass, so we were good at dribbling. And because we were good at dribbling, we were winning gold medals after gold medals. And they changed the turf, and then our USP went off. So same thing is happening in the business world. We are thinking with some other mindset, and we are adapting to. We are not adapting to the newer technologies or newer age of.
You are
how
still,
they
in fact,
functioning.
you know, you're getting the benefit of the past, but you're still, in fact, you know, banking upon it.
Exactly.
That's exactly. So you can
that-
get the benefit of the past, you shouldn't be banking on it.
Yeah.
That's
So
right. Not
world
burdened
is
by it.
changing, and how do you change your turf to suit to your turf, right? That is the most important thing. And somebody mentioned, right? It's important that what you want to be. Otherwise, you will be an engineer doing a Swiggy delivery job, right? Because that's definitely paying more than.
So that's
what-
important actually for all of you, that you make your choice. First, what work you're going to do, and then only choose your domain. That's important. You guys still have a chance. Those who are in graduation and post-graduation, if you choose a subject which is more aligned to what you want to do. Otherwise, you'll end up in a course and not knowing what to do, or you look for what you can do now. And you end up doing a job which you were never meant to do, or you were never good at. So I think there's one thing which has come out very well. You can get the benefit of your past, the way you've been doing it, but don't get burdened by it. Don't get burdened by it, because the future is different. What has brought you here may not take you there. In fact, and if you do more and more of what you've been doing, you'll end up in a state of active inertia. It's like a treadmill. You will be jogging, you'll be running, you'll be sweating, you'll be probably losing weight, but you'll not move forward. So I think that's one very good lesson that we have learned.
And
Robin,
last, I would like to sign off on one thing, right? So if you look at the best of the best institutes, they do not provide placement opportunity. Like Harvard doesn't do it, Wharton doesn't do it. So it's the students' hunger which go behind the company, what they want to be, where they want to be,
yeah, they
what
apply
role
there,
they want to be,
and they talk to them,
and
and
they apply. And
good the
it's
references.
catching up in India as well, in all the top institutes, including IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi. People, first rankers in all the IITs used to take up only investment banking jobs. It's at least thankfully stopped now. Now they go behind, they're so clear where they want to be, what they want to do, right? And if we can inculcate that, and that can only come through your own confidence in terms of your subject knowledge or your passion areas, right? And if you are able to run behind those dreams and run behind that passion, then you can grab the world.
I think that's very well put. There is a lot of, I just share you from the part of industry what's happening around. Because many of you at Poornima would be thinking that what am I supposed to do? Friends, let's be very clear that the world is changing, and the world is changing for better, and not for better or worse, but it's very interesting. It's interestingly changing. So don't be judgmental about things are going to be bad or good. Look at just the way where Robin put it, that despite all that, feeling that these are the 3 wrong things that the government did, probably they had just aligned to the right direction. One piece of good news before I get to Robin once again is that most of the big companies today have stopped going to campuses only of premier institutes. So they may not even come to Poornima also. So it is not, it's all domain agnostic, it's all institution agnostic. The reason is that they say that since we require competence, competence is not one time just available that a student studied hard, cracked the CAT and got into IIMs and made his or her life. Get to Harvard and you are just done forever. You get a high package, you get a high salary, and you are happy forever. That's not going to happen. What they're now going to do is that they'll put it all on the website, the competencies that they require. And that's where the industry alignment was very important with all of you individually also. You all can approach the website, apply directly, rather than waiting for them to come to campuses, subscribe to whatever they require, and you can make it from any part of the world. And that's why you guys must have heard that somebody from Aligarh, a remote village near Aligarh, got a salary package of 1.5 crores from Google. So I think you guys, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for something? Why can't you do the same thing? That's one good news, in fact, that whatever is happening is changing in all directions. It's not just technology is changing, it's changing the very algorithm of our life. It's redefining the algorithm of life, friends, and this is a very interesting time. I give you one example, in fact, of, you would have heard a name called Naveen Jain. How many of you have heard a name of Naveen Jain? He's an Indian, that's good. He is from Kharagpur IIT, and he is the Moon Express chairman in USA. He's been there for the last 25 years. What he is doing, very interesting. He says he'll go to the moon, collect helium-3 from there, and bring it to Earth through cold fusion technology, create a non-invasive clean source of energy for entire mankind for millions of years. Now just imagine an Indian, again, all the names that you keep hearing, this is one big name, in fact, who's a self-made man there. He is collaborating with Elon Musk. In fact, Elon Musk is following him in a very different direction. You know what is the reason of his success? And he says he'll do it in the next 3 to 4 years. And it's possible. There is research going on, Elon Musk, and if you believe, even the Indian mission had one of the objectives to collect helium-3, because non-invasive clean source of energy is the requirement today for a sustainable future. Collective existence of all of us. The globe will not exist if we don't do something like this. So this is going to happen. What I want you all to learn from Naveen Jain is that sheer audacity. He's a close friend of mine. I talk to him very often. And when I talk to him, he says that, Rajiv, I'm going to, have this feeling of success because I have that audacity. If things are not available on the earth, the 8th continent of the earth is the moon. And the 9th would be Mars and Venus. Somewhere in the solar system or even beyond that, we'll find peace and happiness for humankind. Now that is the audacity. That's the power of technology. And Robin, coming to you from that kind of background, don't you think that, technology is, value agnostic? Technology is something that enables us. Like digitalization or digitization is not about automation alone. It's about an attitude, it's a mindset to create better and better product and services for the customers. So you are using it as a means. So how do you think, in fact, technology, could be the one which could be the one single thing, if we pursue properly, make the new India or the future of India, where demographic dividend that we have to by training, retraining people on the competencies of technology and skills around that, on platforms which were not hitherto available to us in the MOOC format or in some kind of an online real-time format, that people can get exposed to this kind of information, knowledge and wisdom.
I've already spoken for 60 minutes almost, so I wouldn't take so much time. I'll just take a few minutes. Before I answer Rajiv's question, my dear friends, I am not too sure whether you have been exposed to such wisdom before. What I have gained just now over the last 1 hour is sheer wisdom. Well, thank you, all of you. You people are amazing. I hope you have understand one underlying theme of all that what was said. That underlying theme is, which I have gathered, that I hope you have gathered, is there is enough jobs for all of you. There is enough jobs for all of you. And in order to do that, what is it in our life of this university and students? There are four walls, 4 corners which we need to dot. The corners are we, the students. 1 dot, another is the university. 3rd dot is the faculty, and the 4th dot is the industry. These 4 have to play a part in all that what we have discussed so far. And if I may join the dots, the suggestion I have is, please look at yourself as a 360-degree solution provider. It is like a classical example of a specialist versus a generalist. The 360 solution provider perhaps will come from that 4th FURTH. 1, please remember that whoever, whatever, whether you are an entrepreneur yourself or you're working for someone else, don't say, I'm a marketing man, I'm a marketing person, finance हमको आता नहीं है. I'm a finance person, HR आता नहीं है. नहीं होता है. You have to be all, you have to understand everything with maybe a specialization. If you are a heart specialist, you can't say that, I cannot understand whether आपका बुखार आया कि नहीं. वो और एक MBBS को बुलाना पड़ेगा. ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. नहीं होता है. तो हमारा कैसे होगा? So therefore, 360-degree solution provider. Having said that, my advice to you all of is, as you go in the world, first job you are going to get some kachra job. Take it. Do not choose what you are going to get. Do what you get. And learn from that. Every job provides you with learning. Because you can't start with a strategist or you can't start with a marketing manager unless you know what is sales management all about. So students, 360-degree solution provider. Now come to faculty, I will come first. In the faculty, the faculty members are sitting here, many of the faculties have become irrelevant to the industry. My suggestion to all of you is, faculty members,
as has already been stated, keep yourself updated. Write a paper which gets published every year. I run a company. I'm a professional manager. I don't need to write, but I write something every month. I write a book every 18 months, and it's all in the public domain. And why should I do that? My submission to my dear faculties are, please write something, a research paper, at least once a year, if not once in 6 months. Be relevant. You are our gods. You are our vision. You can make a difference to all of us together. Come to the university. The university, of course, you people will give learning and all that. The university and industry, this dot, let me explain to you. Industry is not going to change. There will always be benevolent industry, non-benevolent industry. In India, there are 12 lakh registered companies, 12 lakh, of which 8,000 are listed, which means that owners decided to share the wealth with everyone. They are more benevolent. Out of 8,000, 3,000 listed company shares are traded, which means these are the better companies. Just see from kahan se kahan aa gaye. Out of 3,000, BSE 50-50 runs 90% of our economy. That means 50 companies. Now, whenever we talk about vision, industry, all that, we think of Tatas, HUL, Birlas, but that's only 50. There are 12 lakhs of them. So benevolent industry that they will come and give you teaching, bhul jao. Therefore, no law is also going to come from the government saying that every industry must teach. OP bhul jao. Government now gives money, provident fund contribution for any industry keeping apprentices. OP bhul jao, company